Greetings everyone, you're watching Terminal Defect. Thank you so much for showing love to the previous episode, as that really increased my subscribers list. Hooray! The year 2024 began just a few days ago, and we've already seen a major natural disaster in the form of an earthquake in Japan. There's no mystery in this world bigger than natural disasters and their existence. Bermuda Triangle who? Some say it's the Earth's tectonic plates shifting, while others speculate that it might be a result of lunar activity. We definitely don't know the answer, but we know that these disasters happen and wreak havoc from time to time. I've been receiving suggestions that I should do a show on discussing the 6 biggest floods to be recorded on Earth. And guess what? Your wish has been fulfilled, as today we will be discussing them. Join us and watch this video till the end if you also want to figure out why these mysterious disasters even happen. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share my show ahead. Let's begin the show with our first segment, where I'll briefly describe floods. I know, it's nothing new, but still. Floods are basically an overflow of water caused by extravagant amounts of rainfall on dry land. Many countries experience this natural calamity. Some are used to facing it, while some still are being trained to take necessary measures. Whenever a flood hits any place, it makes headlines with the incredible loss of lives, property, and other damage. Our team did a lot of research in compiling the list of the 6 biggest floods that the Earth has ever witnessed, and trust me, we were all surprised to know about the countries and the facts. I like how you skipped that ad to begin with the segment. Now, the first flood on the list is the Great Drowning of Men. The real name of the flood was St. Marcellus, but it was given this title because it took the lives of at least 25,000 people. An ardent extratropical cyclone terribly turned the tables and carpeted the British Isles, northern Germany, and Denmark because of the presence of a new moon. I bet you must have read all about the new moon theory in your course books. The locals call it the second St. Marcellus flood too. The storm reached its highest peak on the feast day of St. Marcellus, which is on January 16th. On the same date, 1219, 36,000 people breathed their last in the first St. Marcellus that hit the coast of West Friesland and Groningen. A huge layer entered from the North Sea and made its way towards inland from England, the Netherlands, Denmark, and the German coast. The first flood was not good news, as it transformed a whole mainland, destroying the town and districts and leaving it as an island. Just imagine yourself in the situation. On one hand, you're celebrating a saint's feast, and on the other hand, nature has no desire to show mercy on the people in the land. It's sad to know that so many lives were swept away with that overflow of water. How about we travel to one of the major superpowers still ruling over the world? Oh, my viewers guessed it so accurately. Yes, it's the mighty United States of America. At this moment, I'm so proud of you for guessing it. The name of the flood is the Johnstown Flood. How to begin? Let's talk about it. The South Fork Dam on the Little Conemaugh River failed to meet the expectations of the state and people because the dam acted like an open invitation for the floods to destroy anything that came in the way. Johnstown is situated in Pennsylvania, where the Johnstown Flood, also referred to as the Great Flood, took place in 1889. On the 31st of May, the South Fork Dam unfortunately lost its power to the excessive rainfalls and broke down, allowing 14.55 million cubic meters of water to give birth to damage of $17 million, demanding the lives of 2,209 human beings. Once it was over, the volumetric flow was temporarily similar to the normal speed of the Mississippi River. Monitoring the tragic situation, the American Red Cross came forward with its relief operation. 50 volunteers emerged to help out, and this was led by Clara Barton. Watching the haphazard state of the region, more aid and funding came from other states in the United States of America and 18 other countries. The people who survived the natural disaster were infuriated over the loss of their loved ones because of one stupid mistake. The annoyed mob proceeded towards the court to sue the dam owners for not doing their job correctly and not constructing the dam well enough to endure the heavy rains. But their plea was denied. These people had to bear the cost for someone else's carelessness. Such is life, and life is unfair. China has been a hotspot for dangerous seismic activity because the country lies right in the region where the Eurasian, Pacific, and Indian Ocean plates meet. I believe your ancestors might know about the Yellow River flood that paid a visit in 1887. The unannounced guest invited over 930,000 people to never return to their loved ones. The death toll shook China, and was considered one of the deadliest natural calamities. We all know how China takes its measures seriously, but this was a situation where nature was calling all the shots. Let's go into the details. What happened was that back in the farming days, the farmers who lived on the coast of the Yellow River found dikes as a solution to keep the water in. As time passed, the river's water flow increased because the Chinese peasants kept adding silt to the riverbed to prevent flooding. It's said that maybe on August 28th, this rising river became unstoppable as the dikes remained powerless in front of the heavy rain that consistently kept falling. No one can stop the rain, can we? The water gushed while breaking the walls of the dikes. Imagine the sound of water breaking through the walls and swallowing everything that tries to stop it. How bad was the flood? Well, figure it out with this. A whopping 11 large towns and dozens of small villages were wiped away from the face of the earth after the floods. People assume that the dikes near Zhangzhou permitted the trouble of Yellow River floods to wash out. Around northern China, there are low-lying plains that became the reason for the swift flow of the floodwater, covering an area of 50,000 square miles, attacking both the cities and towns in the countryside. Do you know that after the flood, approximately 2 million people lost their dwellings? We become so worried when we lose our homes, if not even under the influence of any such disaster, and look at them. They permanently lost their accommodation and were left with nothing to call home. Apart from destruction of homes, more deaths occurred due to disease and lack of basic necessities like clean drinking water, food, and other resources. It's such a sorry state of affairs that the government just does not bother to nurture its citizens, who bring them to power. When such accidents happen, and that too on a large scale, it becomes like a wake-up call when the majority of the news flash says that people lost their lives due to multiple diseases and there were no facilities to come to the rescue that could act as a ray of hope in such a rough patch. It seems that floods have an affiliation with China more than any other country. From June to August 1931, the Yangtze River flooded, also called China floods, invaded Wuhan, Nanjing, and other prominent Chinese cities. According to the facts we collected about this specific flood, the impact was so bitter that it broke a dike on Lake Ayu. Nobody can tell the exact number of people who lost their lives in that flood, but still, John Lossing Buck did a favor by conducting an investigation for his university. His study showed that 50,000 people died, which was less as compared to the fourth ones who had their names written in the death list in the first 100 days. The original story claims that 140,000 people died due to drowning and that 2 million citizens lost their lives due to lack of nourishment. Once the flood exited, the people were bothered by the widespread disease cholera pandemic that lasted from May 1932 to April 1933, resulting in 31,974 deaths, not forgetting the number of cases that was 100,666. China usually gets hit with more severe ones, but this left all startled by the aftermath of the flood too. I know, we're moving interstate in China, but the floods have attacked the country so many times. But we're starting to observe a pattern in natural disasters like floods, especially in China. Yeah, you might be having questions as to what caused this flood. The answer to your curiosity is the failure of the Banqiao Dam. The dam caused sheer embarrassment in Henan in August 1975 when Typhoon Nina crashed its tides on the dam, causing it to break. Guess what? Typhoon Nina was so angry that it destroyed 61 other dams as well. That's a lot of damage, I must say. Well, the daunting death figures are in my hands that say that the breaking of the dam killed between 26,000 and 240,000 innocents, affecting 10.15 million people and engulfed 30 cities and countries. Not forgetting to mention that an estimated 5 to 7 million homes were destroyed completely. In the dark time, people would actually recall the dam breaking, when the Cultural Revolution cast its magic spell on the citizens. The irony was that the majority of the dams that turned out to be utter disappointments were constructed by experts during the Chinese Great Leap Forward, or by the Soviet Union. The dam's primary objective is to keep the water in, hence so much capital is invested in the structure. But observing the constant failure and that professionals, who should have been perfect at their projects, displayed their careless conduct in keeping the people safe from the natural calamity. After concluding this video, we can definitely say that floods are one of the worst natural disasters to hit the earth. The worst part about a flood is that you can't keep on running forever, especially when it targets small villages and areas with no proper infrastructure. China's had its fair share of flood disasters over the course of history due to its geographical location, but the country has definitely learned from it. So, you want more deets on other mysterious natural disasters that have graced our planet? Subscribe to our channel and keep the updates on so you don't miss out on an episode. See you soon.